I said, there's a car coming. I can't see it. And I was off the side of the asphalt by a couple feet. Finally, I could see him. He was coming along without his headlights on. And I'm thinking, he's going to hit me with his side mirror. This is going to hurt. And then milliseconds later, it was, I'm going to die.
Today, just want to say hi to everybody. It's another week on the show. Today, we're going to do things a little differently because we usually talk about like a more like broad topic with the person that we're with or the company. But we're going to do a little bit of like a personal life event story, maybe like a little testimonial. And we're here today with Mr. Steven Rogers. So good to see you, man.
Well, same here, Sam. Thanks for having me.
We got to know each other. We've gotten to know each other a little bit already.
Yeah, no, it's a cool thing. And gosh, I really don't know where to start out other than essentially it's been a long, strange trip, I guess is one way to put it. I had the misfortune of having a toolbox slide out of the back of my pickup truck back November 18th of 2022, just after dark, and I was turning onto the highway. I don't know if the tailgate fell down or if I did not put it up, but the end result was I had tools all over the highway, and that was my livelihood, and panic set in basically.
Because that's your whole, that's how you...
I was
that's how you get your bread and butter.
Self-employed, and just there was a lot of different things I did, but when all of your mechanic hand tools that are, for your finer, more detailed mechanic work, and I mean, we're talking snap-on stuff. I had tools that I'd had since I was 16 years old, and I'm 63 now.
Wow. So there's even sentimental value besides the function. Like,
they don't make tools like they used to. If it says made in China, don't buy it. Do yourself a favor.
That's true. That's a public service announcement, right?
I mean, I will probably start trolling flea markets now trying to replace, because I have found that I cannot even replace stuff that was standard brands like Napa and stuff. But anyways.
So let me stop you there real quick. Before we dive into it, to set the scene, like I said, this is more of a personal story. So what Steven is going to talk about, the main topic here, or the I guess the bulk of the conversation is something that happened to him, and life changing is probably an understatement, right?
Yes.
And he's setting the scene. So right now he's telling us that he's on the highway. He's got his tools on the expressway.
Well, the thing is, it was Highway 107. It's just a 4-lane highway.
So tell us what happened.
No expressway, but I had already successfully, and I'm not brain dead. I was watching for traffic. It's pretty easy to tell. The only flaw that I assumed was that everybody would have their headlights on. And I had gone out for my second trip, and I could hear tires on the highway. And I'm sure that anybody listening to this has been on the side of the road, and you can hear tires on the highway from a pretty good ways off. And I said, there's a car coming. I can't see it. The tires are too loud for the headlights I see down the road. And that gaggle of cars was about a good half mile away. I stepped off into the median, and I was off the side of the asphalt by a couple feet. I could hear the vehicle getting closer. Finally, there were some cars that were westbound. This little pickup truck was eastbound.
And you're picking up your stuff right at the same time?
Well, no, I was standing off in the median because I could hear him coming.
Oh, you're waiting for him? Because it's nighttime, right?
I could hear him coming, and, I wasn't born yesterday. I know to get out of the damn road, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I had done that, and finally I could see him. He was coming along without his headlights on. The only reason, or the first thing I could see, was the reflections of the oncoming traffic reflecting into his headlight bezels. I'm standing there and thinking, man, I don't like being right here. This is not a good place to be. I've got to come up with a new game plan. And as he got closer, and it was kind of, I don't know, deer in the headlights, but maybe it was just the plumb shock of realizing that this guy has decided that he's going to run off the road to avoid running over stuff in the highway. And I'm thinking, he's going to hit me with his side mirror. This is going to hurt. And then milliseconds later, it was, I'm going to die. I got hit. I flew backwards. I landed in the grass. I immediately, shock, adrenaline. I tried to get up. And I realized that I was broken up, and I just laid back down. And
so you were conscious?
Oh yeah.
Did you fly? I'm
sorry.
Did you fly like a?
Oh, I probably went. I don't know how far I went, because I've never gone back to the accident site and tried to figure it out. The investigation was by McAllen Police Department. Was a little bit on the shoddy side. The officer, talking to the three people in the pickup truck, they said that I was in the roadway. But they also were driving with an expired, their insurance. They had gotten insurance and then let it lapse so that they could have tags on the truck. So, I tried to get up, and then I hollered at my daughter to call 911. Somebody came running up to me and said they'd already called 911.
Wow, so you're fully conscious. And I mean, you were communicating.
I just laid back and I said, "Here I am, Lord." And I said an Our Father and a Hail Mary kind of in my head, and just laid there. And, I was at peace. I didn't hurt. I just laid there in the grass. I had a pair of insulated coveralls on, so that kind of held me together a little bit better. But, and it seemed like out of nowhere an ambulance showed up. I think maybe out there near the accident scene, there's a football game going that night. And I think they were on standby at the football stadium. So they were there in an incredibly short amount of time. Wow. And I remember them putting a neck brace on me, getting a board under me, and putting me in the back of the ambulance.
What are you thinking right now when this is going on? You're getting a neck brace? And I'm
just thinking to myself that, well, they're going to do the best they can for me, but I wasn't born yesterday, and I knew that, you watch the TV news and people that are victims of auto pedestrian accidents, probably 9 times out of 10, they don't live to talk about it. It just, every time I see something on the TV news, I actually tear up a little bit. But they got me in the ambulance, and I knew I had broken bones. They asked me where I wanted to go, and I'd already been seeing Dr. Marshall Gillette at DHR. He's an incredible orthopedic surgeon. The guy is a genius. And so I said, well, I'm already a patient at DHR, so I said, take me to DHR. I just basically turned off the lights from there till when I got into the ER. I just relaxed.
Let go a little bit.
I just closed my eyes because I figured that, it was just, I was convinced I was not going to make it. We got to DHR, and of course, getting inside the ICU, on the gurney and everything, it was a little bit comforting just to know that, I stood a snowball's chance.
So what did you know about your situation at that point? I mean, you said you knew you had broken bones.
I just knew that I was broken. My right tibia and fibula were broken. There's a rod holding the tibia together now. The left tibia was broken about maybe 4 inches below the knee. Gosh. And the x-rays there looks more like an erector set. And of course, I still had hardware in my right ankle from when I had the pylon fracture in March of that year. My left femur has a rod in it now. My pelvis was broken front and back.
Wow.
And I didn't know it, but my back was broken also. My pelvis, Dr. Gillette was able to put or reassemble the back end of it with straps back together. There's actually still a gap in the pubic bone where there's just no bone. The risk of surgery there, because of, I believe it's, there's either a vein or an artery. Don't get me to lie on my medical knowledge. But
we'll forgive you for that one.
The risk of hitting that, doing some kind of surgery is such that I was told if they hit it, I'd bleed out before they could do anything about it. I ended up with, so I've got the straps in the pelvis, and then I've got 4 vertebrae that are fused together.
4 vertebrae that are fused together.
That first night, I've been told I took 18 units of blood.
18 units of blood,
yes,
the first night?
Yes, that was just the first night.
They replaced basically your...
that's 3.5 people's worth.
Yeah,
roughly.
I mean, they replaced your entire blood.
I was bleeding out internally, big time. That's where I'm not sure if Dr. Jeff Skubik was on standby that night, but no, there was a Dr. Ross and Dr. Thompson that worked on me. And I've met them after the fact. And of course, going into surgery that first night, that's the last thing that I remember.
You knew you were going into surgery?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the gurney. There was the funniest thing. Liz asked, well, why did you choose DHR? And it's kind of a little joke, but I said, well, because y'all are the best. And I wasn't exaggerating. The impact of the truck, basically it bisected my pelvis, front and back.
Let me ask you something. And I mean, you let me know if we're getting too deep, but did you ever find out how fast that truck was going?
I figured just with a little bit of time that I had to figure it out. He had slowed down, but he had to have been doing at least 35 to maybe 40. I really don't know.
Wow. You were we're not talking about an auto accident. This is auto pedestrian.
This is auto pedestrian.
No helmet.
The corner of all I had was a baseball cap on and my insulated coveralls.
Wow.
Also I had been hit so hard that it caused a lot of bruising on kidneys and the liver. My urethra was ripped in half just below where the prostate is. For the next month, I really don't remember much of anything other than it was a kaleidoscope of just dreams and visions of feeling like I was trapped behind a wall and everybody was on the outside. I was convinced I was dead. I do vaguely remember when they came in and gave me last rites. I think they kind of brought me out of the coma a little bit, but for that whole month from November 18th to right at about December 22nd, they kept me in an induced coma. I guess my understanding is fentanyl and morphine. I don't know.
So in all that time, I mean, like that's blank. That space and time doesn't really exist.
The only thing is just I vaguely, people would come in and try to talk to me. Of course, I was intubated. I have a photo. Unfortunately, I don't have it on my phone or this phone, but they had to tie me down in the bed in ICU to keep me from trying to crawl out of the hospital bed.
Wow.
And so,
do you remember what your visions were of, or what you were?
Oh, I remember.
You could hear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can. I remember for some crazy reason I got it in my head that I became in this dream. I determined that because the nuns don't really teach in the Catholic school anymore, that they had them all tending all these baby cypress trees in a very elaborate nursery. And what the church would do is when somebody in the church would die, they would plant a tree, put a plaque on it, and devote it, name it after that person as a memorial. There was another one where I was convinced that I was literally trapped inside a wall in a store, and I could see out, but it was like I was in a whole nother dimension, if you want to get into that kind of a spatial relationship thing.
You felt like you were in another dimension.
I mean, I came to the conclusion that the cat had accidentally gotten poisoned by rat poison, and somehow I had accidentally got poisoned. I was convinced I was dead.
Was there did any part of you know I'm intubated in the hospital right now?
No, I had absolutely no clue. I mean, they were feeding me with the syringe, all of that kind of thing.
You're in a medically induced coma.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I woke up, and of course, I'm intubated. I couldn't talk. I am thirsty.
So tell us, so what's the immediate, so you have this accident, you get hit by a truck, and you go into surgery. You're put into a medically induced coma for over the course of a month. Tell us what happens when you wake up. Is that the first thing you think, I'm thirsty? Do you wake up knowing what happened? Does your memory come back?
I started trying to put two and two together.
Where am I type deal?
I figured out I was in the hospital. There were people attending me when I did start coming conscious. And there was some family there too.
At the bedside.
And because I think they had said, hey, we're going to, my family was coming to see me. My mom had come over from South Carolina. My ex-wife, second wife, she had come by with my son. Of course, he had to sign off on the do not resuscitate paperwork. And so, basically, I just kind of was trying to figure things out. I realized that I could feel my right leg, but
you're trying to see what you can feel, what you can't.
Well, I'm thirsty. I mean, my teeth are totally destroyed now from sitting there with my mouth open for a month and just my mouth dried out. My mouth was so dry, and I see the nurses and every doctors, people walking around with glasses of ice, and the craving was so incredible, and I felt like a man in a desert. And of course, there was no giving me any ice. That was just not going to happen yet. So anyways, I was miserable for a couple days. I, was uncomfortable. The straps across the back of my pelvis were uncomfortable. My back was uncomfortable.
Okay.
I had just gone through 2 weeks of surgeries and took another 100 units of blood in those surgeries.
Oh my God.
And Then they also had me on dialysis because my kidneys were not functioning up to par. And so...
Was this during the coma state?
Yes.
How many surgeries did you go through?
I absolutely have no clue. I would venture to say at this point in time, 20, 25, maybe 30.
Wow.
I really don't know.
Easily.
Because, I don't know how many days I was in surgery when I was down, and then I did keep track of stuff after, I was in the hospital and stuff, but I'd have to go back and sit there and divvy it up, literally.
So I want to ask you something, because today, actually, I got the chance. So Steve and I have been talking the last couple of weeks about doing this and getting things in order, where we were going to do it. And anyway, I got a chance to talk to one of your surgeons, Dr. Skubik, today, actually, Dr. Jeffrey Skubich. And one thing he mentioned, actually, I have his text right here. This is what he said, and I want to know why he said that. He said he never gave up, with 2 exclamation marks. I'm gonna show you that he never gave up. I sent him a long message about what we were doing, and that's the first thing he said. And so I want to ask you, what's your mental state when you wake up? What does that mean?
For the last several years, or 7 years, up to that day of the accident, had been raising my daughter, who's 15, who is going to be coming back from South Carolina. She has been living over there with my sister during all this time. And so literally, I think it was for her and my son. I was still, evidently they have to give you or slowly wean you off the fentanyl. It's something that they don't do right away. So,
yeah, you're in the influence of drugs.
I didn't even know what fentanyl was, and then of course you're laid up in a hospital bed and start watching all these shows and seeing people that are on it getting interviewed, and you're going like, oh my God.
On the news.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I'm in the hospital one night, and little CNA comes in to check on me, and she says, ¿Qué pasó su cobrar? And I'm like, ¿Cómo? And she says, La Azul. And I'm going, ¿Qué pasó esa? It's DNR. Do not resuscitate. And up until that point, I did not know that bracelet was still on. And of course, I had a cow, because I was like, if I have lived this long, we don't need to worry about resuscitating me. We're going to do it, boys and girls.
Yeah, that's not a question anymore.
So I spent 3 weeks in acute care, right through Christmas, in ICU, and then they moved me up to acute care right about then. Stayed there for 3 weeks, and
so that was your first, in your mind, was that the first bit of progress? Like, I'm getting somewhere, like we're getting out of the woods a little bit.
Right, it was just getting out of ICU and going up to acute care, and that was great. That's comfortable living up there. Yeah. Finally, after 3 weeks, Dr. Ruiz, Dr. Skubik, Dr. Magnon, Mateo, several others came in, and Dr. Ruiz said, hey, we've got to, you've been here 3 weeks. We've got to send you to a nursing home. And I'm going like, well, what about physical rehab here? And they're like, well, no, we can't do that yet. And of course, I'm clueless. I had no clue.
You're not even there yet.
So, I'm sitting, well, they had given me a trapeze bar to lift myself up with. And so I was able to rearrange myself and move myself around in the bed and that kind of thing. But, and of course, I stuck both my feet in the ground. I was like, well, I'm sorry, but, nursing homes are where they send people to die. And I'm not going for it. And they're
so that's kind of still lingering in your mind.
Oh, yeah. So, so anyways, needless to say, I did go to a nursing home, and then I ended up with a roommate that wasn't a lot of fun. Of course, I'm uncomfortable having to, deal with this tube. I laying there in bed one night, and of course, the other crazy thing in the hospital is when they pulled the tube or the port for my. That was the other thing where we started seeing a lot of progress is they started pulling stuff.
Yeah,
and of course, when they pulled the tube that I was intubated with, I couldn't talk. I had a hole in my throat. So it's like pantomime time. The family finally brought me a dry erase chalkboard. And then I finally realized that if I just put my hand over my throat, I could get some words out.
Yeah.
And so we did that. But, and of course, when they pulled the port out of my stomach, I'm going like, stuff going to be coming out of my stomach. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, you're crazy. I mean, I even called a friend of mine up whose mom was a registered nurse to pick his brain because he knows just about everything.
Getting a second opinion.
Oh, yeah. And my friend John DeBerry, it's like if I've got a question, I know who to call.
Yeah.
And his mom was a nurse for Dr. Harold Stevens here in Edinburgh for years and years. And and in fact, he was my physician growing up as a kid. And we'll jump around a little bit. I kind of had a reputation of living recklessly and wild. And so I was always busting my head open when I was a little kid. And it finally got to where we would go to the doctor's office, which just happened to be right across the street from St. Joseph's School, and where I went to school at. And we got to where there was, I can't remember, maybe it was this one, but we basically, when they stitched me up that day, I was like, you don't even need to give me any painkiller. Yeah. And I'm only about 9 years old. But
it's not your first rodeo then.
But anyways, so we're getting things pulled out. Of course, they had a vacuum thing on my leg.
Wound vac. Yeah.
And of course, I'd had some skin grafts where they had to patch the leg up. And Dr. Mateo did a pretty good job. We had a lot of trouble with edema and swelling. There was, I believe there's a total of 3 Roto-Rooter surgeries where they went in to pull out blood clots out of your leg. And, Dr. Garza sent me a picture, and that's amazing to see what that looks like.
He showed you what he did on you?
They sent me a text photo, and basically there's a little catch bowl in the vacuum cleaner that looks like a little stainless steel colander. And the clot looked more like spaghetti than anything else because it's just kind of a white color, evidently. And anyways, we went in and did that a couple times and finally decided that the more you mess with something, the more you mess it up. So let's leave it be. As time progressed, little by little, things started getting better. I had a really good wound care doctor over there at the nursing home. He's one of these traveling doctors, and I'm having a...
Dr. Ruffles?
No, he's out of Harlingen.
Okay. Wound care specialist?
Yeah, but he hits all these, places. And, I'm having a brain fart, though, trying to remember his name.
That's all right. Well, let me ask you something. So you're at the nursing home now, right? So we've got some progress. We got some momentum going. How are you doing it? Like how are you moving forward mentally? Because I mean, you've been through so much, all the surgeries, even like just the discomfort. What keeps you going?
I just found things to keep myself entertained all day long. I had, TV, so of course I'm a grit TV kind of guy. Like to watch these old westerns. I also had my laptop and my telephone, so I was able to stay in touch with people on the phone.
So you're active. Would you say you fell into like a depression, or you just kind of kept your mind busy all the time?
No, because, once you think you're dead and you realize that you're alive, it's pretty hard to be bummed out about that because you realize how little time we actually have here. Just what I said a couple seconds ago is history. It'll never be repeated. Every second, it's like a drop of water coming out of a faucet. And to have more time and to just be in that position, I was just glad to be alive. They were still, we went a total of like 6 months before I was allowed to put any weight on my left leg. Still had the fixator on. Of course, started trying to, they would have to pick me up with one of those lift thingies with the sling and set me in the wheelchair.
The Hoyer lift and all.
As soon as I figured out that I could get out around on my own about March of 23, right around stock show time, about middle to late part of March, I started being able to get out of the bed on my own.
Did anybody ever tell you were never going to walk again or any of that?
I asked Dr. Gillette about that after, because the guys came around and visited with me several times, and of course I had my appointments with him, and I specifically asked him about that, and he said he was a little bit ambiguous and a little bit vague. He said probably with a walker, but I am hard-headed, and I just don't settle for second best, I guess. And I've got a little girl that I'd like to walk down the aisle someday, even if I do have to push a darn walker. But, if I can go from pew to pew with my hand on each pew, I can make it to the altar.
We'll get it done.
And of course, I can function with the cane. And he did say that at the time, he said that I probably would be able to walk with the cane again.
Did you believe you'd be able to walk again?
I didn't want to believe otherwise because
it wasn't an option, right? Like you just said, there's no second best.
It's, in the nursing home, you see people in there, and I was fortunate to be, mentally adept and everything and functioning there. Had a few people that were friends. One other thing that really, if anything else, the one thing that really, really was just uplifting for me was that my regular nurse at the nursing home, Erica, is just fantastic. Made friends with all the ladies, and I could kind of flirt with them a little bit. And, in a respectful, proper way and everything.
You got to be there anyway, right?
I'm like, hey, how's my novias today? That kind of thing. And there was actually one lady that worked there that was about my age. And when I was getting ready to leave the nursing home, she actually suggested that I could go live with her. She made real good tacos.
She's trying to sell herself to the tacos.
And I'm going like, well, that's okay. But, I did find her Mal Ojo earring under the nursing home bed one day. Man. And I'm like, okay, well, I figured out who it belonged to and everything, but I was like, well, I don't know,
Yeah.
But, and plus I just wanted to go live at home and get back to living at home. But finally,
it was a good sale. She tried the tacos. Can't blame her.
Well, the cool part was that, we were friends. In fact, I've actually, there were some things that transpired after I left. They had a real bad water leak, and they had to shut the nursing home down and remodel it, moved all the patients out. If I hadn't got out of there, I probably would have gotten evacuated, and it would have been a nightmare from hell trying to get home again. As it was a little glitchy. it took forever to get verified with Social Security that I was no longer a nursing home resident.
Yeah, it takes a
and
while.
trying to get my disability money and stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, I've stayed in touch with. I became very good friends with Erica. We've stayed in touch and become good friends and everything. But just having a nurse that is watching out for you and advocating for you, that is one of the most important things that a patient can have. You need that. You've got to have that rapport. You've got to have that personal comfort with somebody where you can say, hey, this is going on, or that's going on, or that, or her, or in her case, saying, well, they're, you just need to be watching out for this or that. And, just having somebody, she'd call me Stevie, that was just our little friendship. She's, how are you doing today, Stevie? And a lot of times in the mornings I'd get up and I'd go find her where she's handing out, medications in the morning, and I just go ahead and go on over. And because what I'd do is I'd have my coffee, I'd get me a book and my laptop or whatever, and I'd go sit outside in front of the entrance of the nursing home.
Oh, so you weren't just in your room all day?
Oh, heck no.
Yeah,
no, man. I'm out there. In fact, that was really before I was out there barefoot about half the time. And then that was one thing with this paralyzed leg. I have this thing called drop foot. Mm-hmm. And one thing, everybody probably thinks that I'm Steve Commando with the hiking boots or the little tactical boots, but what it is, that boot with the leg support holds your foot straight, and it gives you a lot better footing. $100 and change pair of boots versus $800 for an orthodontic brace that I wore just a handful of times and decided that was the klutziest waste of $800 I ever spent money on. I've actually been tempted to take it back over there and just take it and hand it to them and put it on the counter and say, hey, guys, this is junk. Yeah. Because as it was, I was going to have 2 different size shoes and just all sorts of crazy stuff. But, but no, I'd get out. I'd spend a good part of my day outside. As soon as I got my meds in the morning, it was outside, get out of that depressing, environment in there, unless I just felt like watching TV or got tired, then I'd go kick back and watch TV.
So you had a little routine going and everything.
And nice, definitely.
Nice. I have a question for you. I have 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
All right, because let me ask you this first real quick. What was the name of that nursing home? We might as well shout it out. We've been talking about it long enough.
It was McAllen Nursing Center.
Okay.
I actually became good friends also with the head administrator. Rachel is a real nice lady. The people working there are good people. I've actually gone back over and visited just to say hi since, I got mobile and got to where I can, drive, transport myself and that kind of thing. And so I have popped in and said hello.
That's good. You had some well, that kind of goes with what I was going to ask you, because I was thinking, the team, the trauma team at DHR, McAllen Nursing Center, they're wondering, how Mr. Rogers is doing. So let's fast forward to today, right? You got hit by the truck, you had all those surgeries, you had the rehab, you spent months in the hospital. Give us a little bit of a progress report. How are you doing now?
Well, how I am now is I am tube free. I am, I have no, Dr. Ruiz was able to successfully splice my urethra back together right around December 14th. There was some learning curve, getting muscles under control and that kind of thing. I do not know exactly what they did internally to me, but I think maybe they had to take out a little bit of my colon, but I don't know for sure. But
And you're walking now.
but I mean, I could stand up
You're
and
walking.
show scars, but I mean, I've got, really a pretty clean splice job on my belly, considering that this much of it, Dr. Ruiz had to go back into it, and that's all closed up. I had a filter in my vena cava to catch blood clots.
In the heart.
And so when we started working about the urethral procedure, we got off the Eliquis. I have not been on any blood pressure meds since I was in the nursing home, where I literally started keeping a diary of my blood pressure readings on a daily basis. And it got to the point where Erica would go, "Well, Stevie, you're down right at 100 over, 60 or 50 something. So
You don't even need
no
the
BP
medicine."
meds for you today." So that was from, because I was smoking, like I said, about 2 packs a day before I got hit. And that was the other thing. When I woke up in the ICU, I'd already been nicotine free for a month. I had some mild cravings. There was a time or two when I kind of smelt cigarette smoke, but at the same time, I've walked away completely. I'm cooking on my own. I've been getting back in practice. You get out of practice there.
Cooking and driving. And
As long as I've got something going into the bathroom, I can just have my hand on it and walk myself into the bathroom, holding the doorknob or whatever, and swing the door. And
but we got to tell Dr. Gillette he's walking now. Right? He's walking now.
I am. I mean, I could. Is that thing live or?
It's not live, but yeah, it's recording.
I mean, I could sit there and I could make a few little Frankenstein steps here.
Nah, that's it.
We do have a joke at Dr. Gillette's office now, and that was when we were looking into, after I had finally gotten all the fixator taken off, and I'm in there, and while I'm in the nursing home, and I was also a very active beekeeper before I got hit.
We talked about that. Yeah, he's into beekeeping. And you're back at it now.
And so I actually did a bee removal job while I was in the nursing home, and had a friend come pick me up so we could do the removal job. And I actually had to climb up about a 4-foot ladder with the chainsaw that day to cut a branch. So when I had that last appointment at Dr. Gillette.
Did you tell him?
Oh, heck yeah, I tell him everything.
You told him you had a chainsaw up a ladder.
Yeah. And anyways, I mean, working the chainsaw, cutting the log on the ground, you set the chainsaw on the wheelchair, and you push the wheelchair a little bit, pick the chainsaw up, you're standing over the straddling the log, and
no big deal, right?
Make your cut. And
oh my God.
Anyways, so we were talking about that, and there was a kind of like a visiting doctor there that did my outtake or whatever interview. And anyways, so we're kind of laughing about it, and Marshall came in and looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, I think for right now we'll just leave this hardware in you." And I'm going like, "Man, this is, the straps across the back of the pelvis are the most uncomfortable thing. I mean, they're visibly obvious. They're barely that far below my skin." And anyways, so I walked out of the room there, and I've got to be good friends with all these people. I've been seeing them for 1.5 years straight, and of course they kind of got used to my humor and everything. So anyway, this guy's typing it up, and he says, "Dr. Gillette has elected to leave hardware inpatient at this time. We may see him sooner than we expect to."
That's what he said.
Anyways, and I have gone down many times since then. Just one of those things that you're trying to figure out how to do things again, and you make mistakes. But I mean, I'm functioning. I'm cooking on my own. I've got I went and got about 3.5 pounds of cube steak the other day to make chicken fried steaks with.
Wow.
And
Congratulations,
I
man.
got about 4 pounds of shrimp, jumbo shrimp in the freezer. And,
Man,
just...
I call it a success story.
Well, the crazy part is I do not have a ramp getting into my house. I have to lift my walker up 4 separate steps.
To this day.
That only have a tread width depth of this much per step. And so I'll have all my groceries and everything in the walker, probably 25 pounds, and I'll just walk each wheel up the step. And what I did, though, is I have a buddy that is in the roofing business, and he bought out a construction company, and he gave me a bunch of handicap bars. And so I've kind of customized the entrance to the house, but I have to go down a ramp that's got one plank that's broke on it that, you've got to make sure you don't fall in the elephant trap. And then I've got to get these others. Then on top of that, I've got a stupid beehive that moved into the soffit. And so I'm going to have to deal with them here pretty soon.
And you are going to, huh?
And, I've lived dangerously through my life.
Yeah.
But I think just...
You're still going.
Life is precious. I've lost a lot of people through the years that were special to me. And that just, in animals too, you see it in an animal's eye when they've been gravely injured. You can read that, and there's something about that transcended over to me in the years of my life, is just that desire to live, just enjoying it for what it is. And, I just want whatever I can get back. I don't expect myself to ever be able to stand up on a surfboard again. I may be able to paddle out, lay prone, do that kind of thing. You were asking about one other thing that was one of my goals, and I had a very good metal detector stolen out of my truck the night that I got hit. And I happened to locate another one and got it. And I literally had that thing in my room at the nursing home like a carrot on the end of a stick with a string for a donkey.
Motivation.
Just wanting to get out and do that again. And
wow. A visual motivation.
I'm hard-headed, and I am just not content to accept the fact that, that all got taken away from me.
You weren't going to accept it.
Ironically, on the police report, I've actually got to get with the police department and get the police report straightened out, because the police report states that I was in the roadway, which is incorrect. And I need to get that straightened out. But here we have a 17-year-old little punk with 2 little girls in the front seat with him, driving his little lowered Chato pickup truck with no headlights on, 30 minutes after dark on a cloudy November night. And you would think that I would hate the air that man breathes. But I forgave him. I'm Catholic. I don't make it to church except sometimes for funerals and special events. I mean, I'm not church going, but I carry that in my heart. I could see no practical use in hating this kid. He's got to live his whole life. I don't even know if he knows if I lived or died. He's got to carry that with his conscience. I'd like to reach out to him someday. It'd be nice if he had some insurance and, I could have some kind of restitution for what I've lost, but I've had to accept the fact that ain't happening. And so, getting through life, you can either approach it like a spoiled little kid, or you can suck it up and be a man or a woman. And that's the only explanation I have.
That goes into my last question, and I guess I'll ask it anyway.
Sure.
Life comes and life hits you like a truck, right?
Yeah.
Literally, let's and this is like for everyone listening, right? So if life comes and hits you like a truck on the freeway, how do you keep going? What's your advice? What'd you learn?
Well, thankfully it wasn't a freeway and at freeway speed, but you know, you just, it's like they say, I hate all these little convenient sayings that when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, but you just have to have that, life, like I said, is you just have to want to live.
That will to live.
And you have to have things in your life. Gosh, it would take me 2 days to tell you all the cool, fun things I've done in my life, at least. People say I should write a book. But it's just, you have to be engaged with life. The one thing, the pitfall that I have found now is it's so easy to sit down and just troll through Facebook all day long and watch TV and just kick back. Of course, it's been super hot right now. Not too fun going outside.
Besides the fact,
but
in South Texas,
having things to do to where you're actually up and doing things. Even with the edema in my leg, we discovered the more time I spent on my feet and out of the chair and just moving around seemed to help that go down. There's just so many little things that have all worked intricately together. And every day I wouldn't see vast, major steps where I just major improvements. It was a little thing here, little thing there. Every day, just a little thing.
The little victories.
And just a little thing here, little thing there. If you're seeing that, time passes all too fast as it is. And, it's been over a year and a half, and it seems like almost yesterday still. That's almost the other surreal thing, is waking up and feeling like Rip Van Winkle and, being confined for that amount of time. And of course, you get out once in a while, ambulance trips to the doctor, stuff like that.
Once in a while you get out.
But when you get out and start seeing what's happened in that time where you were out of the picture, it's amazing. And it just makes you appreciate everything you've got. And, I just have to say that I'm blessed because I am really grateful to all the people that worked on me. Dr. Ross, Dr. Thompson, there's many others that remember me, Robo Man or Captain America.
I'm going to be honest, I heard that name today.
And
I heard the name Robo Man.
Okay.
I said, so I told somebody you were going to be on, and they were like, oh, you mean Robo Man?
Well, it might have, if it was an ER nurse, I know who it probably was.
I'll leave it at that.
But I had to go to the ER at DHR one time. And the girl in the ER, she starts getting my information and everything. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this girl. I go, do you remember me? She looks at me and she's like, no. You sure you don't remember me? Then she starts kind of going like, I don't know this old man. Do you remember the guy that got hit by the pickup truck? Oh my God, it's you, Robo Man.
That's what she said. It's a Robo Man.
And that's Elizabeth that's in the emergency at DHR.
Yeah.
And that's where, because I really didn't remember everything from when I first went in that night that I got hit. And she filled in a couple missing things. And then she said, do you remember what I asked you? And that was where I came up with, why did you come to DHR? Because y'all are the best. But really, honestly, that is the other thing that got me through was everybody that I crossed paths with over there at DHR. Everybody, from the housekeeping people, CNAs, nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners, everybody. I mean, I was treated so wonderfully, and that made me feel.
Can you elaborate on it a little bit? Because you said the way they treated you.
Yeah, because I could tell how hard they were trying, how hard they had tried. We could have that kind of off-color hospital humor and joke around a little bit but it was just that, I had a couple doctors that, prayed over me, at DHR. That was a real big deal. When I went to McAllen Nursing Center, and I remember that wound care doctor, Dr. Midgley. I don't know if you know that name or not, but he's a really good guy. Mm-hmm. And he prayed over me. I had several CNAs that prayed over me. And
so their effort made you feel like you had to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Because they were giving it the real shot.
Yeah. Wow. And, it's just, you pick up on that energy. I'm not one of those kind of people that goes around talking about all that cosmic kind of stuff, but that is one thing that strikes me as much as anything. And, even the EMS people that would take me back and forth, just the attitude and the manner that I was, and the way I was treated, it just made me, it definitely didn't. The only time I was upset was when I was constipated. And there is another little joke there, because the nurse on my outtake paperwork said that glad to see him go. But anyways, I was just treated so wonderfully that, it just made me just, was just determined,
Wow.
And
I'll tell you one thing, they're going to be happy to hear that, because it's not every day that we hear that a patient, one of the things that kept them going, surviving, was seeing how strongly and how much they were working hard.
Oh, yeah. No, so
you had to work hard with them.
Well, you're sitting there and you see how many hours they have to work. I mean, you can tell they're dead on their feet, and they're, when you're that uncomfortable, you sleep some, but then there's a lot of time that you're just awake, and you know who's on shift and that kind of thing.
You were there long enough too to figure out everybody's name and everything.
Yeah. And that was another thing, is I really genuinely, I had nobody else that I could be friends with. So, being able to be friends with the people that were caring for me, that's just, it's just positive feedback.
That's beautiful, man.
And, I just
thank you for that. Story.
I mean, everybody that I interacted with, I don't care if it was office help or who, I just came away just ready to go, just stoked and just glad that I had a second chance. And, wow. So I'm going to make the best of it.
Congratulations, man. I'm going to tell you something. You got hit by a truck on November 18th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Well, today on June 10th, 2024, we're here to tell you made it, man.
Well, I'm working on it.
You made it.
I'm working on it, bro.
No, you made it, man. Congratulations, honestly. Beautiful. Yeah. And honestly, thank you for telling your story, too, because
you're welcome.
You're going to inspire a lot of people here with this story.
Well,
this wasn't a commercial for any hospitals or anything, but
I've wanted to give back. It's just one of those things. They found a way to treat me and care for me, and found a way to pay for it. I don't know how. The money numbers is mind-boggling. It's just beyond my comprehension. And it's just, the way I see it, it's just fantastic that there are places like this now here in the Valley where people can get the care they need and have a chance, and a good chance of making it. And, it's just interesting. It's a small world, and I'm just grateful to be part of it.
All right. Well, that was Mr. Stephen Rogers. a survivor. That's what you are now, man. You're a survivor, and you will be from here on out. So thanks for telling your story. Honestly, might have been a bit of a tearjerker, guys. So sorry about that.
Well,
but this is the beauty of these.
Well, I'm just Steve, Sam, and I'm just glad to be here. And anyways, hopefully anybody that sees this gets a little chuckle. They probably have a hard time recognizing me with no beard on my face anymore, and because I did look like quite a bit of a wild man back then. And
well, no one's gonna blame you for that one, man.
But anyways, I don't know. Maybe if I flirt with the nurses now, they'll kind of think twice about it. Anyway, cool deal, man.
All right, well, we'll see you later, man. We everyone got to get to know Mr. Rogers, Steve.
Thanks, bro.
It's another voice, another part of the community, and let's keep going, right? No matter what happens, life hits you like a truck. There's a way out, right? Yeah. So thanks for that. You guys have a good one, okay? Have a good day, and wipe those tears. I see them. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Okay, bud.